Hi, people, this is Angie. Brian Harvey, this is just the only way I know to get hold of you, and I understand your security is high, and I don't do Twitter, and I heard your Twitter got taken down. And for the trolls, I have no interest in Brian. My daughter crushed on him, so give me a break, I'm a granny. No interest other than that he's a brave guy who's been whistleblowing, and despite giving the impression sometimes that he's lost the plot, he's got years of evidence. Brian, I just wanted to address the video I've just seen, and I know this is emotional and it could be a psyop and blah, blah, blah. It's not good usually to respond to emotions, but hey, second time doing it. So with regard to the video you just posted saying that the police called round, Metropolitan Police called round to inform you of a credible death threat and advise you to put additional measures in place, I'm going to presume, I'll give you two versions. The first thing it reminds me of is DC Paul Spears, whose job technically was to keep track of pedophiles in the North London area, but somehow he was, acting on behalf of the Hampstead investigation, so say, or whatever. He called round to Belinda McKenzie a couple of years ago with a very similar warning. We can't guarantee your safety. A lot of local people are very upset with you. You know, we're not sure what your security measures are, but you might want to increase them. And he frightened her so much, she fled the country. He absolutely terrified her so much, she fled. She went to France and stayed away, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and then decided she found her courage again, and like, can't leave my kids behind. I've got a very vulnerable daughter. I miss my cat. I can't just be run out of my own country for speaking up on the side of justice and children. So she came back again. But she was effectively intimidated and silenced. So it could be a simple intimidation tactic. I hope you got the names and badge numbers of those coppers who did seem kind of genuine. One seemed a bit more clued up than the other, but the guy with the beard definitely was trying to make it clear that even if they did know the source of the allegedly credible death threats, they would not necessarily tell you. So yeah, just a heads up that happened to Belinda McKenzie and probably a lot of other people where, it's a head fuck. It's like, can anybody wonder why people that are targeted get diagnosed with bipolar or anxiety or, whatever? This is like a bad movie. The second thing it reminded me of in my short experiences in life was social workers turning up on doorsteps, appearing to be on the side of the vulnerable. So social workers that might turn up to parents and say, I've seen it with my own two eyes at court cases I've gone to and advocated in, where the social workers or the guardians or even the solicitors have played nice guy for a con. So for instance, it's really in your best interest just to sign here, just sign this little interim care order. It's only for 7 days or 28 days, and it'll give us all time to catch up and sort out what's going on. And I'm sure you get your kids back then, and we'll definitely put a word in for you saying that you were very cooperative, So those were my first two initial responses. If in fact the cops were good guys, which I'm always open to, there's no excuse for this compartmentalized, oh, that's got nothing to do with us, mate. We don't know anything about your phone hacking issues. We don't know anything about your, Sunday Express interview, compromised list, possible MI5 agents, possible setup. We don't know anything about that, mate. Me, I know nothing. You know, we are just compartmentalized zombies dispatched to say, you're in danger. We're not responsible for it because we've warned you, you know, have a nice day. So I'm sure there's somebody technically, this is how they keep things moving along, is they keep everything compartmentalized. But I'm sure if they're doing their job properly, there will be one officer, sergeant, detective, whoever, assigned to liaise your case. So, for instance, they could say, okay, right, Bill and Ben went there and informed him of a, you know, credible death threat. Right, I'm the liaison officer, so I want to know, or detective, I want to know, where did that threat come from? Who assessed it as credible? What are we doing going forward? And so on and so forth. And you have a right to speak to one person. You know, if you try and phone up and say, I'd like to speak to somebody about the Brian Harvey case or about the Hampstead case or whatever, they will say, well, so-and-so is the officer in charge of that and he's on holiday, so you'll have to wait till he comes back. You know, I've had that where I've phoned up and I'd be like, well, who's delegated to, you know, deal with his cases in his absence? Oh, nobody. No, it's best if you just wait till he gets back and then he'll talk to you directly. So it's compartmentalized. Me, I know nothing crap. No, it doesn't really fly. So well done you for filming. Well done for you for not consenting to anything. I only saw part 2. I'll have a look at part 1 now. But to see the sheer trauma when someone is told by the police, you know, you're in credible danger, life and death danger, but don't do anything silly or we'll arrest you for breaking the law. But you can defend yourself. But in England, I don't think you're allowed guns. So, you know, unless you go shooting, you know, you're not really allowed to defend yourself. But what a head fuck. What a head fuck. So, you know, in the event that it really was a genuine warning, you need to up your game, Metropolitan Police. It's not good enough to say we're a separate department and we know nothing. All we know is we got told to give you this, get you to sign it, and Bob's your uncle. And then the beardy copper saying, well, you know, even if we did know, we wouldn't necessarily tell you. Very bizarre, very bizarre. But I'm just saying to you, Brian, fear is the mind killer. That's the truth. And I think you were just being intimidated. And I've seen this happen before, as I say. I don't work with Belinda McKenzie anymore. I never worked. Well, I've stayed in her home and I have worked with, you know, alongside on the Hampstead case, but I've distanced myself there. And in this game, you don't know who to trust. Anybody. Like I said, I keep my circle very small now, and I'm not attached to who I speak to. But, you know, that hurt my heart to see you traumatized like that. And I know you will have recovered. You were already on the ball enough to film, and, you know, you were on the ball enough not to sign anything. But there's 2 scenarios I can see that kind of thing happening. One, a la DC Spears, which had, you know, an elderly lady flee the country in fear. And 2, with social workers. That's a very, very common, you know, I'm your friend, mate, I've got nothing against you. You know, I'm just doing my job. I just came to give you a heads up, you know. And it's the same point you raised, that for anybody, including Bill Maloney, to say, you're in danger, mate, you're on a list, but I can't tell you anything about it. No, I can't tell you, mate. That's a head bump. You know, that oh, I don't know. And just yesterday, an interesting bit of information that came in was just that the copper DC Steve Martin, that's, you know, heading up the Hampstead investigation, told somebody he arrested that he watches all my videos, you know, and then in case that made him seem too groupie, she said, oh, so I know who to arrest next. You know, so for whatever reason, don't underestimate the power of what you're doing online. I hope your Twitter gets restored. Keep going, keep getting the word out there. Don't disappear, buddy. You know, don't disappear. And even if you do, just know that with God, you're protected. You know, Psalm 91, you're protected. One other funny correction, because I don't need to go, it doesn't need to be about me, but I said we might have met at Stringfellows. No, I'm 20 years older than you, 19 years older than you. So, you know, unless you brought there in your nappy, God forbid, you know, we wouldn't have met at Stringfellows. But I feel for you. I feel for you. And I just want to say, I don't buy that little theatre drama that the cops came to your door with a credible death threat but couldn't tell you anything about it. Not buying it. And as I say, it's been used as an intimidation tactic before. There is documented evidence of a sort of shadow police force operating within the Met, particularly associated with Barnet. Ved Chowdhury, Neelu Berry, and others have identified, and so has Sabine McNEILL, who's in prison on remand past the 6-month remand limit. They extended that because of the serious nature of her alleged crime, which is whistleblowing about child abuse. What, you know, like, so what is she, a terrorist? Give me a break. But Sabine and NEELU and others have found evidence, and so Carol Woods, the social worker as well, evidence of people turning up in police uniforms who turn out not to be not to be policemen at all, either to be actors or you know, you can phone the police station they're associated with, you can phone the National Police Database and ask for their, you know, confirmation of their identity and name. They don't come up. They're not on the database. So the same has been found with fake psychiatrists turning up to section people, drive them around in vans for hours, check them in to cooperating mental health institutions. There is a whole shadow ring of people impersonating police officers, impersonating social workers, impersonating psychiatrists, and so on and so forth. So if you want absolute validation of that, check out Neelu Berry, Ved Chowdhury. Other people have evidence. I won't give their names at this stage, but there is documented evidence of this. So first thing I would do is check out those guys' names and numbers, that they actually are who they say they are, come from where they say they come from. And, you know, if they're watching or listening, it's totally unacceptable to do this compartmentalized, well, we don't know, mate, it's nothing got to do with us. No, we're just doing our job. We know nothing. And if we did, we couldn't tell you anyway. Bollocks. Get a liaison officer. Get a detective on the job. If there's a serious, credible death threat against a celebrity who's hitting the front pages, whether maliciously or not, get a liaison officer on the job, for goodness sake. God bless Angie, Angela Paradisney.